Hey everyone, you know the drill. Hope you've had an amazing week as usual. Now, this week I'm continuing my wheel build hints and tips series. You may have seen fairly recently I did a couple of videos, firstly showing you exactly how to lace up a wheel and then showing you how to finish off true it and get it all straight and finished. Well, this week I'm going to show you another tip, and that's what if you want to replace your rim. So today we are going to do a rim swap video. Now for this video, of course, I've got a freshly built wheel. There's nothing wrong with this rim, but I do happen to have two light bicycle rims, so they are identical and we're going to basically swap these over. I'm going to show you how it's done. If you're going to do a rim swap yourself, then I highly recommend using the same rim you've been using. That way you're guaranteed the spokes are going to be the correct length. If you are going to go for a different brand rim, then make sure the ERD is the same within maybe a mil or so. I was going to talk now, but I've got a visitor. Say hi. Alright, off we go. The technique I'm going to show you is the one that I personally use. I find it's the simplest, it's the least likely to get the spokes in the wrong holes, and it's the least likely to scratch up your rim. I know some people might like to completely take out all the spokes first, so they're just sticking out in the air and then try and replace that onto the rim, but I've never known that to work that well, and it's very likely you're going to scratch your rim. So the technique I use just makes life a lot easier, and I think we should just get straight into this. Now the first step is to simply loosen off all the spokes. So I've stuck the wheel in my wheel touring stand. However, if you don't have one of these, then they're not vital. You can either use your bike or do it on your lap. However you want to loosen the spokes is up to you. And unlike building a wheel where you have to do things in a very specific order, now you can basically start anywhere and loosen off all the spokes. You want them as loose as possible, but you want the nipples to stay on the spokes. So simply start anywhere and get turning. It's not really much to say about loosening the spokes, but we'll give you one tip that when you start to get around back to where you started again, you may find the spokes are loose without even undoing them. Now I do recommend still undoing them as much as possible, because the more reach you can get the spokes, the better it's going to be later on. So that's now all the spokes loosened off, and as you can see, the rim is quite baggy, which is exactly what we want. So now I'm going to take away the wheel touring stand because we don't actually need this anymore, not until we start adding tension to the new rim. So remove that, and now we're going to go on to stage 2. Before we do that though, please consider giving this video a thumbs up, a share. It really does help with the algorithms. Plus, if you want to know what tools I'm using, then I'll link to my previous videos down below where I go into quite a lot of detail about exactly everything I'm using. But anyway, stage 2, how do we get this rim onto that wheel? Well, it's actually pretty simple. The first thing I'm going to do is place the rims next to each other, lining up the valve holes. Now I'm lining up the valve holes because I'm actually going to zip tie the rims together. So we want to go through the valve on the old rim and back through the valve on the new rim. So once we've done that, I'm actually going to repeat the process on the opposite side of the wheel, except obviously there's no valve hole here. So I'm just going to go around both rims and get those locked together. By zip tying the rims together, you know they're not going to shift. You know the valve hole's in the right place, all the spokes are going to line up, and it just makes any mistakes a lot harder to make. Once the rims are locked in place, then we can actually start swapping the spokes over. Now there's actually a very particular order to do this in. Because the hub is actually biased over towards this rim, it's going to be hard to get the spokes to reach over to this rim. So rather than start with just any old spoke, we're going to specifically start on this side. And again, not just any spokes, we're specifically going to choose the spokes that are going to be easiest to transfer over and have the most reach to get over to this rim. Now you may think that the spokes on the outside of this flange would be the obvious choice to start with, but actually we're going to start with the spokes on the inside. And the reason for that is because the spokes on the inside actually cross over the spokes that are on the outside. Now it sounds a bit confusing, but basically this means that there's no spokes in the way for this spoke to get to this rim. I'll remove a spoke and hopefully it will make a bit more sense. Now I've completely undone one of the inner flange spokes, and as you can see, because it doesn't cross underneath this spoke, you have a lot more reach and it easily reach the new rim. And now I've undone one of the outer flange spokes, and hopefully as you can see, because it crosses underneath one of the other spokes, it actually has to bend quite a lot, and it's actually a lot harder to reach the new rim. So by starting on the inner flange spokes, then it makes it a lot easier to reach the new rim. So that's what I'm going to do now. I'm going to go through and swap all 8 inner flange spokes to the new rim. And because we've locked the rim in place with the zip ties, you just go directly to the side to the new spoke hole. Just makes it a lot harder to get the spoke in the wrong place. So let's get on with that and swap all these over. And just like in my lacing video, having a nipple holder or an old spoke just to make sure the nipples don't fall into the rim makes life a lot easier. That's now all 8 spokes of the inner flange swapped over, and it should look a little like this. And like I mentioned, swapping these spokes first gives the most reach, and it's just the best spoke to start with. Now, which spokes you swap next is actually up to you. You have 2 choices. We've done the inner flange, so now you could do the outer flange, and actually that's the way I normally do it. However, you could actually go for the outer flange on the opposite side, as they don't have any spoke crosses in the way and actually have quite a good reach and could quite easily reach to the new rim. However, I'm going to go with my tried and true method, the way I always do it, and it works, and that is just to do the outside of the flange we just did. And this is simply repeating what we've just done. You don't have to start anywhere in particular, just pick a spoke and go for it. And just like before, because we've fastened the rims together, it's simply a case of swapping from one hole just straight across to another. Pretty simple, really. So once you've swapped the second 8 spokes, it should look a little something like this. Essentially, we kind of got both rims laced to the hub at the same time now, and it kind of looks like a big fat bike wheel. So we now have all the spokes from this flange going to the new rim. And yeah, it kind of looks a bit funky, doesn't it? So that means that that side is now done, and we're now going to concentrate on the last few spokes on the other side. And just like before, we're going to find the spokes that have the least resistance to get to the new rim. So that actually means we're going to start on the outside flange as the spokes run underneath at the crossing point, which gives them the straightest line to the new rim. So that's what we're going to do now. Start on the outside of the second flange and swap them all over. And this is what it'll look like when you've done those 8 spokes. As you can see, we're well on the way to having the new rim swapped over. There's only 8 spokes remaining, so simply a case of swapping those over next. As we've been swapping the spokes in stages, the hub has actually migrated from the old rim over towards the new rim. So now the remaining 8 spokes will actually have no problem reaching the new rim despite being the furthest away at the start. So now it's just a case of swapping those over, and that will be your rim swap complete. So let's get on with it. So now the wheel is done, let's get rid of these zip ties. And there we go, a successful rim swap. The advantage of this rim swap technique is I've retained all the good wheel building aspects. So all the spoke crossings are exactly the same, the valve placement is exactly the same, so I can still see the hub logo through the valve, and I've not scratched the rim in the process. So there we go, folks, we have a successful rim swap. I hope this worked for you if you're doing one yourself. And I actually think this is the shortest wheel related video I've ever done. I'm not going to show you all of the tightening and truing because I've already got a video on that, so if you want to know how to do that, then please hit the link down below. As usual with my tutorials, I really hope you found this useful. Please let me know down in the comments if you did. If you have a different technique, I'd love to hear it. I know of a few, but there may be some out there that I don't know, and I'm always up for learning new stuff. Of course, I'd absolutely love it if you'd give this video a thumbs up, a share, a comment, whatever else you can, just to help the algorithms and get these videos out there, helping as many people as possible. If you'd like to see videos released earlier, sometimes with quite a lot more content, then please consider joining my Patreon for £2 a month. If you'd like to donate to the channel, I do have a PayPal link down below. Or if you want to buy some merch, I have merch available at Clarkson.com. Huge thanks to Light Bicycle for the rims as usual, and to Industry 9 for the Hydra hubs. I've got a new bike coming soon. These are going to go onto that, and I can't wait. It's going to be an epic bike build. So anyway, have an amazing week everyone. I'll catch you next time, so take care. Bye bye.